Dear little V, buckle up, baby. Let's chat about something deep and heavy but important. It's about the cycles we're born into. You know the ones, the patterns, the trauma, the pain that gets passed down from generation to generation, like some sort of family heirloom we didn't ask for. The things that existed long before we ever took our first breath, but somehow became our burden to carry. My girl, let me tell you once and for all, you can break the cycle. In fact, you were made to. You see, life isn't just about what you build for yourself. It's about what you refuse to carry forward. Every family has its stories, its struggles, its wounds. Maybe it's a whole lot of addiction. Maybe it's anger or shame. Maybe it's emotional or physical abuse. Maybe it's the belief that love has to be earned or that vulnerability is a weakness. Your parents, their parents, they probably were doing the best they could with what they had. But sometimes what they had wasn't enough to heal what was already broken, that started generations before them. And so the cycles continued. For me, I grew up feeling the weight of those cycles, although not until recently did I know how to put that weight into words. But I felt it in the way my family operated, communicated, in the unspoken rules about what we could or couldn't feel, and what I could or couldn't express, in the silence around things that desperately needed to be said. And for a long time, I didn't realize I was carrying that weight too. I thought it was just who I was, that something was wrong with me. That's just life. That's just what we must accept. But honey, it's not. The moment you realize that, the moment you decide to stop accepting what doesn't belong to you, that's the moment you begin to change everything. Here's the hard truth though. Breaking the cycle isn't easy. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. It's not like flipping a switch or saying a magic word. It's hard, messy, soul-stretching work. Because to break the cycle, you first have to see it. You have to name it. You have to look at it straight on and say, this is not mine to keep. This ends with me. And honey, it's not just about the trauma. It's about the patterns that were passed down to us too. Let's get specific here. Maybe you've noticed how fast you put your guard up when someone gets too close, because somewhere along the line, you learn that vulnerability isn't safe, that you are not safe in this world. I've been there. Maybe you tend to shut down, pull away, or avoid conflict altogether because no one ever taught you what healthy communication looks like. I've been there. Or maybe you've caught yourself numbing out with food, alcohol, social media, drugs, with anything that keeps you from sitting with your feelings because you never learned how to cope, because this is all you saw growing up. Maybe it's the way you push yourself to exhaustion, you overwork yourself, trying to prove you're worthy because that's the story you've been told. Whatever it is, I want you to know that none of those things were your fault. But, and this is the big but, they are your responsibility now. The thing about cycles is they're powerful. They're like rivers that have been flowing in the same direction for generations, carving out deep paths. And it takes real courage and effort to step out of that current and say, no, I'm gonna do things differently. I'm gonna be the brave one. But my girl, it's worth it. It is so worth it. Because here's the beautiful part. When you break the cycle, you're not just changing your life, you're changing the lives of everyone who comes after you. Maybe your nieces, your nephews, your kids, your grandkids, their kids. You're creating a new legacy, one built on healing, on love, on freedom. And that's powerful. That's how we honor the generations before us, not by repeating their pain, but by healing it. So how do you start? You start by getting curious, by asking yourself the hard questions. What am I not admitting to myself? Where have I not been listening? What patterns have I inherited? What beliefs about myself, about life, about love aren't really mine? And then you start the work of unlearning. You start challenging those beliefs, those patterns. You start replacing them with something truer, something kinder, something that feels like you. And don't forget this. Breaking the cycle doesn't mean rejecting your family or resenting them. It doesn't mean pointing fingers or placing blame. It means understanding that they too were shaped by their own cycles, their own wounds. It means choosing to let go of the anger or bitterness and instead saying, I'm going to do better. Not because you failed, but because I deserve better, and so do the generations after me. Honey, this isn't easy work. There will be days when you slip back into old patterns, when it feels like you're carrying the weight of the world. But let me remind you, you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to keep going. Every small step you take is a victory. Every moment you choose healing over hurt, growth over fear, love over bitterness, that is a win. And here's the thing, you don't have to do it alone. Seek out the tools, the people, the resources that can support you. You have no idea how liberating it was for me to open up to the people I trust. Trauma therapy helped me immensely, but therapy looks different for everyone. Whatever helps you along the way, lean into it. You are not weak for needing help. You are stronger than most for seeking it. So let me say this one more time, loud and clear. You can break the cycle. Do you hear me? It ends with you. You can stop the patterns that were never yours to begin with. You can create a new story, a new way of being, a new legacy. And when you do, you'll look back and realize that the hard work, the tears, the growing pains, it was all worth it. Because you didn't just change your life, it was the moment that you changed everything. Until the next letter, with all my love, V.